Hi everybody, my name is Chris Johnson, and today we're going to be going over the technical concepts, I guess, of brainwashing. Really, I don't want to say technical, but based simplistically what it is. I find that when I talk to a lot of people or I ask them what is brainwashing, they don't really know what it is. They think they know. A lot of people think they know, but they don't really have a clue what brainwashing is because they don't know how it works. Oftentimes we're even brainwashed as to what brainwashing means, as strange as that sounds. But let's cover a couple of points here. Okay, first of all, I want to give you a definition from the dictionary of brainwashing. Now, what I'm going to read to you is going to be kind of long-winded, but I need to give their technical definition of it so we can use that as an example. It says brainwashing, number one, is an intensive, forcible indoctrination, usually political or religious, aimed at destroying a person's basic convictions and attitudes and replacing them with an alternative set of fixed beliefs. Second definition to this would be the application of a concentrated means of persuasion, such as an advertising campaign or repeated suggestion, in order to develop a specific belief or motivation. Now, oftentimes, what it's saying here is partially true, partially not true. Like, for example, when it says forcible indoctrination, a lot of times brainwashing is not even forced. It's just something that's put into things. Oftentimes it's slipped in, sometimes it's subliminal, sometimes people actually want it. Sometimes there's something called cognitive dissonance, where people they basically don't want to know. So they brainwash themselves purposely, or allow themselves to be brainwashed. What I'm going to do is, you, the audience, I'm going to brainwash. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story, then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Okay, some of you may have heard the examples I'm going to give you before, but I'm going to make the points once I give them. I'm going to do three things. I'm going to brainwash you. I'm going to give you a much more simplified definition of brainwashing that I came up with. It's not from a dictionary or anything, so whether you want to trust that is up to you. And then I'm going to unbrainwash you so you can see what I define as brainwashing and see how it works. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to ask you a couple questions just to brainwash you. Here we go. A man left home jogging. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways and turned left, and he jogged back home. Once he arrived, there were two masked men waiting for him. So the questions are, why did the man leave home jogging, number one, and two, who were the masked men waiting for him? Now, according to the information I've given you, you should be able to answer the questions already. Okay? And you formulated an idea in your mind, and you have some guesses. So let me give you my definition of what brainwashing actually is, okay? Brainwashing, here it is: withholding key pieces of information to allow the mind to fill in the blanks at one's own discretion. So basically, your brain is your brain is much more powerful than any supercomputer that's ever been devised, okay? I've heard that I've read this in another place, and I forget the place I read this a long time ago, but that you could walk into a room and take a few seconds and just look across the room at everything, and your brain did enough reasoning and logical calculation, mathematical calculation, to keep the biggest supercomputer in the world busy for the next 100 years processing the information. Your brain is incredibly powerful, and if there is something that hits your mind that is not logical, your brain will try to fill in the blanks to make it logical, even if it's subconsciously to where you're not thinking about it. That's how powerful your brain is, okay? So what I want to do, let me explain what you probably did in your mind. When you heard the story, and I said a man left home jogging, when I ask you, why did the man leave home jogging? Well, you think, it says he jogged a little ways and turned left, and jogged a little ways and turned left, and jogged a little ways and turned left. Well, you thought, why do people leave home jogging? Well, generally for exercise, you're thinking, and he probably jogged around the block and then came back. But then when he arrived, there were two masked men waiting for him, and you thought, why would masked men be waiting for someone at their home? Well, generally there's someone like a burglar, or someone like a murderer, or someone who's trying to cover their identity. Logically, your brain did the correct thing. It logically filled in the blanks. But now I'm going to give you one word, and I'm going to unbrainwash you. Okay, so you can see how this works, and then I'll read you the definition again. Baseball. A man left home jogging. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways and turned left. He jogged a little ways and turned left, and then he jogged back home. When he arrived, there were two masked men waiting for him. So one, why did the man leave home jogging? Well, he hit the ball and he was running the bases. Who were the masked men waiting for him? They were the catcher and the umpire. It's very simple. Once you have all the key pieces of information, the basic principle, fundamental pieces of information, there's no there's no argument. Normally, two people who don't have the key pieces of information will argue amongst each other. No, this is what it meant. No, I think this is what it meant because of this and this. But neither has the correct answer because neither of them have the key pieces of information. So again, brainwashing is withholding key pieces of information to allow the mind to fill in the blanks at one's own discretion. Okay, this can cause infinite amount of argument. That's why I say, and I'll probably make another video to that effect later, that any time that you see a news, with the news where they have a split screen like the Brady Bunch or whatever, and they argue back and forth. No, I think this is right. No, this is right. They're arguing about the completely wrong topic. And every time I've seen one, they never argue about the fundamental issue of what they're talking about. They're just arguing little details. And that's what, we'll get into a whole other video series probably on just that topic. But now that I've unbrainwashed you, you can see how it works, and that's kind of the point. Now I want to show you how you've probably already been brainwashed. The average person, I would say most definitely the average American, has definitely been brainwashed, and I'll give you an example of that. Now, if you've ever had, I don't know if any of you that are watching this have ever been involved in a word association game. That's where you say a word, and then like one person says a word and the other person just says the first word that comes into their mind. Okay? So I'll give you a couple examples. So I will say the first word that comes into your mind, and if you're watching this video, you should probably just try to say it out loud. Just the first thing that comes into your mind. I'll say it. Here we go. Cow. Well, you probably say something like milk. That would be associated with it. Well, why was that the first thing that came into your mind? Well, generally we get milk from cows. That's what we buy at the grocery store. We drink. We're just used to that. Or maybe you said goat if you're used to goat's milk or something. Or not goat. I'm sorry. I said the word cow. See, now I'm playing the word association game with myself. That's how deep this goes. So let me give you another one. Let's hear it. Cloud. Well, you might think rain would be your first thought, or sky or something like that. Whatever you're associating it to, you're associating the word that you think of with the word that's been said. There's a logical connection to them, okay? Now I'm going to say another word. Just say the first word that comes into your mind. Here we go. Conspiracy theory is what people probably said there. Now, why would you say theory? I have done this with many people. I have not had one instance where it did not work. I have said this to every person I have talked to in person that I've tried this with, and they have said theory right after it. Like you're pre-programmed to think theory. Well, let me give you the definition of a conspiracy. Conspiracy is an evil, unlawful, treacherous, or surreptitious, I don't even know what that word means, surreptitious, plan formulated in secret by two or more persons. Okay, so the bottom line is it's when two or more people get together to commit an evil or illegal act. Okay, so the question is, has anyone in ever the history of the world has two or more people ever gotten together to commit an evil or illegal act? Has that ever happened? Well, duh, obviously, yes it has. Well, the question is, are all conspiracies theories automatically? But, well, of course you're going to say, well, no, they've obviously happened, but yet in your mind, you've already associated the word together. Now, the average person, I guarantee you, if I went and I said this word to, say, the Amish, they wouldn't associate those two words together, okay, because they have not been introduced or not been accustomed to watching our American televisions all day. So I just wanted to cover this. It was just a real quick video I wanted to cover on the basics of brainwashing so all the viewers know what it is, and I can reference back to this video later as we get to discussing different topics like evolution or communism or different things like that, because this is going to be a very important topic. So thanks for listening and stay in tune, and I'll show you how this references in later videos.